Hey, what is going on, guys? My name is Slcmof, and I am back again with the video. And in today's video, I'd like to talk about the next Rocksteady game and a quick, just one-take commentary. Just chat to you guys, no editing or anything like that. So, the Rocksteady Games Twitter tweeted, "We're hiring for roles in our London studio, network engine coders and VFX wanted, blah, blah, blah." So, Sefton Hill also quoted this, and I responded to Sefton Hill. I was like, getting ready for that Green Arrow game, huh? Because I do think that it's very likely that we will get a Green Arrow game next from Rocksteady. And in the next couple minutes, I'd like to kind of systematically explain why I think we're getting a Green Arrow game relative to others. So keep in mind that Rocksteady has historically always been published by Warner Brothers Games. So, amidst people potentially, I've not heard this much, but a few people have maybe said, well, maybe it's not a superhero game. I would discredit that pretty quickly. Yeah, I just like to put that out there. I would discredit that. I don't think, it's definitely a DC Comics game, and it's definitely working within that DC universe. So definitely keep that in mind, because, Rocksteady's known for interpreting other, third-party franchises and taking those franchises and turning them into massive games. Batman, Superman, those are all fair game in terms of what the next Rocksteady game will be. One of the things that's really interesting about this game is that its release is going to approximately align with the JLA films. Of course, we're getting JLA 1 in 2017 and JLA 2 in 2019. Judging by the fact that it took them 4 years to make Arkham Knight. It took them 2 years to make Arkham City. So, I mean, you can look at anywhere between 2 and 4 years. I would be inclined to say this game's going to take them 3 to 4 years to make. Why do I think it'll take 3 to 4 years to make? And Arkham City, for example, the best Arkham game, it took them only 2. Well, one of the reasons that it's going to take them longer is that they need to build this character, whichever character they're doing, and it's not Batman. I think a lot of you guys are aware of that by now, but they have announced that they're not doing Batman anymore. The Warner Brothers Montreal studio will be making the next Batman, which is going to come out probably in 2017, potentially 2016, but most likely late 2017. So, people, we all know that they are making a new, DC superhero game. So, why can it not be a character like Superman, for example? Well, that's the same reason that it's going to take them around 3 to 4 years to make, because you have to build those player mechanics from the bottom up. You have to keep in mind that there was somebody systematically and pragmatically, daily, working on the cape movements. I'm not kidding you. This is actually on the internet. I'm not 100% sure it's true, but you can think about it, that it's realistic, no doubt about it. Somebody working on the cape mechanics, what happens when Batman falls down, what happens when he glides, what happens when he power glides down, and the movements of the cape at different points in the cape and the sounds and all that kind of thing. Somebody worked on that for a year. One person was designated. He was the cape guy, so to speak. So, you think about it in that aspect. You have to build this character and the gameplay mechanics from the bottom up, and that is the most challenging of a game. And I'm not a game designer, but it doesn't take rocket science to think about it. When you're building a game from nothing, when you're building something from nothing, that is far more challenging than refining something that already exists. So I think that's kind of inherent, that we recognize that you're going to have to build a new game from the bottom up. What is this character going to play like? So we know it's not going to be Batman, because they're done with Batman, and Warner Brothers Montreal is doing Batman. So that leaves us with the whole spew of DC characters. I would say maybe 6 or 7, viable candidates, from the comics that we'll see in JLA. You can expel people like Aquaman and stuff like that. I just don't think that they're likely in terms of a video game. So we can narrow it down to what I would really think to be 3 reasonable candidates, and that is Superman, The Flash, and Green Arrow. There's certainly other ones. You have Green Lantern, and you have other viable candidates, no doubt about it. But I really think that you're looking at those 3. You're looking at Green Arrow, you're looking at Flash, and you're looking at Superman. Superman, he's a character that has he seems to just have intrinsic flaws in the creation of a video game, and you have to look at it as well. I don't think that DC and even Warner Brothers is particularly confident in Superman. Man of Steel, the 2013 Superman film, didn't perform great. It was not received well, actually, at all. And I think that people are somewhat skeptical of how Henry Cavill can, if he can, revive the character to the mainstream where he belongs alongside Batman and such. So I think that skepticism exists. I'm not sure that Warner Brothers and DC is sold on Superman in this, this universe, and I think potentially, his influence could be reduced, and despite his just prevalence in the comics and historically, I think it's possible that they don't sure that he works in this DCEU, and if Henry Cavill works as Superman. I think he's phenomenal as Superman, but there's that skepticism exists, and also there's the whole charisma that he is kind of a Boy Scout, and in some senses an unintriguing character. That's definitely some criticisms that people have that I don't agree with, but are not unfounded. I can understand where people are coming from if you compare to somebody that's more dark and brooding, such as Batman. So when you're looking at, Superman, you have to look at it from that aspect of, are they confident in the character that he's as popular as Batman? I don't know if they're confident that he's as popular as Batman. And then you have to look at probably their biggest concern is that can they translate this character into a video game? Superman is a god, and you have to look at it. Batman, what do you spend the majority of a video game? I don't care what video game it is. It can be Call of Duty, it can be Batman. You spend the majority of your gameplay experience fighting against AI that is easy to defeat. Like I said, whether it's Call of Duty or Batman, most of Batman Arkham Knight is beating up thugs. It's not boss fights. So unless you it's going to be hard to create a 10-hour game where there's thugs, because I make the analogy frequently when I'm talking to my friends. People, they're like, I'd really like to see a Superman game. Well, this stealth mission that you're approaching as Batman in Batman Arkham Knight, there's 12 guys, they all have guns. In Batman, it takes you, 5 to 7 minutes to take out all those guys systematically. You have to take them out one by one, and you can't just go, guns blazing. You don't have guns, you don't kill, and you have to, sneak up on them from behind. If you're Superman, you can simply fly and, melt them all with your heat vision, you know what I mean? I mean, you get where I'm going with this. I mean, he is a god. There is no, earthly AI that there's no thug of Batman. There's no regular soldier, AI soldier that sucks and can't aim, as there is in Call of Duty, and that's the crux of video games. We have to keep that in mind. The majority of video games is playing against those basic, easy to defeat AI. I don't care what game it is. I mean, there's exceptions, but that's my concern. How are they going to create a story where Batman, or rather Superman, is challenged? And unless you're going to have Zod and Doomsday, you're fighting them, the whole game in a 5-hour-long boss fight. I just don't think they can do it. And that's my concern. So Superman, for me, I'm going to throw out purely from a practical standpoint. And you have to put yourself in Rocksteady's shoes. A studio of 110 employees. How are they going to create Superman from the bottom up, and what is going to prevent them from failing as all the other companies in the past have? So that's something that they're looking at, and I don't think Superman is likely. However, we do get closer into what is reasonable to expect of a video game with Flash. There certainly is some possibilities in terms of Flash, because he's not on the same level as Superman in terms of invincibility and just, godliness, so to speak. And he's also very popular from the CW television show. People love him. Whereas, I mean, maybe 5 to 10 years ago, he wasn't in mainstream to the same extent that he was, now. So he's possible. However, I do think, I'll just say it right away. I do think that Green Arrow is the most likely of all candidates. And what I would love to see, and I think what we'd all love to see the most, is a Justice League game. I mean, we've never gotten a Justice League game, if I'm mistaken, ever. But if we have, then maybe in 1995 or something, before I was born, in some garbage, terrible game. So the point is, we've not gotten a real game, and we know Rocksteady, people have their critiques about it, but Rocksteady's going to make a real game. No matter what they make, it's going to be the real deal. And, whatever game Rocksteady makes is not going to be bad. I mean, certainly you can be critical of their game. Maybe their games are 7 out of 10 if you're harsh, 8 out of 10. But realistically, their games are in the 8.5, 9 out of 10 range minimum for every game they've ever made. So, from that sense as well, you have to look at it from their practical standpoint. But if they're spending 4 years and they're expanding their staff, in the same way that Warner Brothers Montreal is robustly expanding their staff for the new Batman game, which gives me a lot of hope of what they can do with the game. Can they make it? Can they make a Justice League game? And that's really, I come here with my prediction. My prediction is Green Arrow. That's what I think, because he is the most common to Batman, or similar in terms of gameplay aspects. You have the stealth, and you can have those stealth moments. You can also have those kind of combat, heavy action moments in the same way that we've had with Batman. So I think that he translates the best, because he is just another, rich guy in the same sense that Batman is, and not a god. So that's where I was getting at with that, the last 10 seconds there. So that's what's really interesting to me, is that they're going to spend a lot of time on this game. That's something I'm confident in. But if we see a trailer for this game in the next 2 years, then I find it unlikely that it's JLA, because it's going to take them a while. And, you know, if you can have a game that parallels the release of JLA 2, that is the Justice League game where you can play as the Justice League, you know, you can play as Superman, as Batman, and you know, I mean, they could probably take similar mechanics of Batman Arkham, slightly improved, but I don't think anyone would complain about that, depending on the theme that they create within that game. And then you look at, you know, Flash and Green Arrow and Aquaman. Is it realistic to actually create a game around those characters? I think that in this era, it is reasonable. Rocksteady, their main constraint is not the technical aspects, is more so their resources, if they have enough people. And that's why we see them robustly expanding their, presumably robustly. I mean, we don't know how many people they're hiring, but it looks like they're gearing up, and they're tweeting, and Arkham Knight's not even done yet with the Season Pass, but what's most exciting about this to me is that Rocksteady right now, tomorrow, as I'm recording this video, tomorrow they're going to go into work and work on this new game. And that's what's really exciting to me, is that this game is already well underway, guys. I mean, the Season of Infamy's been done for months. You know, those Crime Fighter Challenge packs, they've got a few guys working on those, the ones coming in January. No doubt about it, you had people working on the Batman v Superman skin, but you know, majority of the Batman Arkham Knight DLC has been long done, and that's why we didn't get any, you know, story packs when we asked for them, and we said that they weren't good enough, because they're working on the next game. I mean, it's that simple. They are working on the next game, and to me, that's really exciting as a fan of what they can do. And I've certainly been critical of them, but that's mainly on the front of DLC, and I think that that's what's so important about, kind of going off on a side note, but it's so important about what we've done as Arkham fans and as everyone that follows this channel, is that we've been critical of the DLC, and I can bet you $1 million that the DLC will be much better in this new Rocksteady game, because they know that we're not going to deal with it in the same way that we did with Rocksteady with this, and I certainly won't be pre-ordering the Season Pass, if pre-ordering the game at all, until it comes out. So let me know what you think in the comment section below. What do you think a JLA game's possible? That's really the crux of this commentary. Do you think that it's possible? Is it reasonable? And in some senses, I think yes. In some, Rocksteady, I don't know if they're big enough. So that's what I think. You know, maybe another studio's working on a JLA game, a studio with 1,000 employees rather than 150. So that's what's really interesting about this. So my bet right now, if I can pick one, and in 4 years we can look back in time and say, was I right, was I wrong? I'm going with Green Arrow, but a JLA game would blow my mind, and I would certainly prefer a JLA game. So don't get the wrong impressions there. So anyway, guys, hope that you all have enjoyed the video. Just a quick, you know, one-take commentary. I just wanted to give my thoughts on this. I saw this on Twitter, and I would really be intrigued to know your thoughts on what the next Rocksteady game will be. My name's Slcmof, and we will see you in the next video.